All right, everybody. Welcome back. It's Filmic Gaming. It's been a while. We know that, and we're excited to be back. It's been a lot of personal events, really getting in the way of us getting back here in front of these microphones. But you know what? I'm happy to be back with my crew, Brendan and Show,
Absolutely.
You're
and
Happy to be here.
it's and what a better time to come back, right? I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
we were able to sit back and really just absorb all the information we received over the last 2 3 weeks.
Yeah. A lot of
um
content.
what a
still
time to
still
be
coming out,
alive.
day by day. Just every day there's always 2 or 3 new gaming stories coming
Yeah,
out.
it was a nice like a solid week or so of every day having a different showcase or event to look forward to. It was really nice.
Exactly. Obviously E3 being canceled, much to the
Yeah.
joy of many, because a lot of people thought it was really just starting to suck.
Poorly
And
ran.
yeah, it's just it's forcing companies to come to the table when they don't really have anything to show. And
hmm
then the trailers become bad. So cool, we ended that, but we did get our showcases on the side. Every major company did their little live stream or their showcase, and man, we were left with boatloads of gaming news that just really puts you in perspective. Like 2022, the rest of it at least, and 2023 are going to
Yeah,
be
in
some great
2023. Yeah.
years.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. A lot to look forward to.
So that's what we decided. If we when we come back, what do we want to talk about? So let's go ahead and do a run through of these gaming news and just say, what's the top 10 for us here at Filmic. With our opinions and everything that we've seen over the years gaming, we always loved this time of year. All right, we're gonna start from number 10, and obviously this is one that a lot of people are on the fence about. I don't even think it's 50-50 in terms of optimism and pessimism. It's more like 70-30 in the favor of pessimism. And that's Sonic Frontiers. We had to start off with this, I think, because it was a much anticipated game. And whenever you hear the words of a character that you've loved all your life in open world, and that being combined, you're always like, oh, that might be interesting. So everyone was looking forward to what open world, or as they say, open zone, Sonic would look like. And we got that first look in this past week. So what did you guys think about it?
I thought it looked interesting. I mean, I've never been I never played Sonic when I was a kid, so I don't have much of the nostalgia factor. I mean, it looked
Mm-hmm.
interesting, but I mean, it did look a bit. I thought the gameplay was a bit clumsy. I've heard people say that or that it was very buggy and stuff. Who've
Yeah.
been able to play some gameplay of it. So who's
Mm-hmm.
to see? I mean, I don't know. I forget when exactly it actually comes out, but hopefully by the time it comes out, they will. I think Q4 2022 it says
Yeah,
so.
it's just a
It still
window.
has
They give
time.
us a
Yeah,
release window.
they're just playing the alpha right now, I guess, probably, or something, or the beta. So
Yep.
you know,
I
I think
mean,
it has potential. I think it's gonna be
it's
good for kids probably, and next gen Sonic is something people
I
probably
feel like
want.
it's gonna be a great, if it does come to the Switch, which I would imagine it would come to the Switch. I feel like it would be like a great mobile game, like
Yeah,
on the go or something. But from what I saw, I feel like I'm just worried about the depth of everything. If you guys remember Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, you
yeah,
remember the
Oh man,
Kakarot
yep.
project. I was very excited for that game, and obviously, open world Goku, open world Dragon Ball Z, that's dope. But I got a lot of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot vibes with Sonic Frontiers, in terms of, there are these areas that got these cool tracks and things you can do and run around and stuff. But how responsive is it going to be? Am I going to be like flying all over the place? Because notoriously Sonic's movement has been really hard to master. Even in Adventure 2, when you were running around, there'd be a lot of times you miss a turn, and it was just hard to get Sonic to go the direction you wanted, because you're going so fast.
Right.
So it looked like the movement so far was, they optimized it. They added some combat. You can actually punch and kick now, and you have powers
hmm
in a certain way. So there's other elements that they put in there that might make it cool. But I need to see more of the story. Maybe they need to reveal more of the world, because what we saw was very plain. It was like there was nothing going on in that whole landscape that they introduced.
Dude, it was literally like Tony Hawk's Sonic version.
Yeah, it just looked like you went around to get rings. There was a couple of, there's obviously missions for Chaos Emeralds and all that. but it just looked like bland gameplay. It looked like
Yeah.
there was no reason. Like, yeah, they were playing it slow, the freaking E3 style. Like, no one plays video
Mhm.
games like that. Like walking slowly up to the cliff and looking up at the sky and catching the scenery. Like, yeah,
Right.
I get it. All right, you're showing it to us, but in terms of gameplay, I didn't see much that intrigued me.
Yeah, and like he would just like latch on. I feel like when
Mhm.
he was grinding in the trailer, he just like latches onto it.
Yeah, I
You know,
mean, it's all
and
mechanics that we've seen before, but
yeah, and
they
it
are
looks
incorporating like that open world element where you can go in any direction you want, you can explore all these different areas, but they got to reveal more of the story, I think.
I feel like it just
Um
looks a little choppy to me, you know?
yeah, it just looks like it's going to bore me after a few days, or like it's going to be a very repetitive game in some sense. But I want to give them a chance because everything that they're saying is just like, oh, we're innovating on everything, right? So the cutscenes that I've seen, anything story related, has looked pretty damn interesting. This idea of where this world is and what it connects to, all that stuff. Yeah, maybe that'll be super interesting. Um, and if that's the case, then that's gonna have to hold up the game, the story, and you just hope that they do it that way. And we're just gonna leave it at that. I mean, not I think pretty much what the industry is saying, not totally, surprising and just wowing, but we want to see more. With that, we'll go to 9, and that's gonna be we talk about Overwatch because it's definitely something a lot of people are excited for.
Yeah.
At
Mhm.
least if you guys, I know you guys haven't
Most
played the
people.
game, right?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say maybe a bit of a hot take, but I mean, I don't really care that much for Overwatch. I mean, I played
Hmm.
I played some of Overwatch 1, but, like, I don't know, just the whole it's the same thing. I don't really like Valorant that much. I mean, I think I like Valorant more than Overwatch, but I don't like the whole,
Hmm.
like, pick a character and, like, there's so you know what I mean? Like, I like much rather, like, make my own class shit and, like, not be
Mhm.
beholden to, like, one or, like, learning multiple
To a
characters
role,
because like, yeah,
right?
I'm too, like, habitual and, like, repetitious with, like, my actions and playing shit that, like, I mean,
And
I would
to free
either have
for
to
all.
I would either have to, like yeah, exactly. I would have to, like, either, like, play just, like, one character forever,
It's
which
a
I feel like
team
would be, like,
game.
more
Brendan goes in
fun.
guns blazing. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He doesn't
I'm a
care about
running gu
anyone.
I run and gun. That's my play style. I
We got a
like you know what I
we
mean?
got a tracer main
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, no,
Listen, I
I run
mean,
and
in
gun.
terms of so looking at it from like a positive side, I guess, it, in terms of it being a new Overwatch, people have been wanting this
Yeah.
for years. You know what I
No,
mean?
no
Like,
doubt the trailer looked good. Like I admit the trailer
mhm.
looked good. I'm just
Mhm.
saying overall, like I don't really care that much because I never really got into the first one.
Well, you
So
know
that's
what? I'm gonna make it my mission to get you to try Overwatch 2, because it'll
good
be my
luck.
first time getting into Overwatch as well.
All
So
right.
Really?
you're
You
gonna try. Yeah, I probably played a little bit of it on one of my friends' Xbox Ones way back, but every time I went to go get the game, it was $60, and I just
Yeah.
never caught it on sale. It was on sale a bunch of times, but it would just for some reason when I would go think about getting it, it was $60, and then as a game goes on it suffers from that. Do I get into it now because I feel like everyone's so experienced, they have all the heroes already? I would just be
Mhm.
jumping into something that's so developed and I would have to learn so much. So I was waiting for years for this Overwatch 2 announcement because it had been hinted at for years. And
Yep.
I'm sure all Overwatch fans are like, yeah, man, we agree with you. Like, we've been waiting all this time. They finally announced the beta in October. We're happy. Like, yeah, we're getting it finally. So now this is my chance to jump in and I was just waiting for this moment. So now I get to try it and I get to see what the hype is
Right.
about. And I'll give you guys an opinion. I'll give you guys a first trier review of Overwatch 2 when I
Mhm.
try it. And then, I think
Well,
I'll enjoy it.
All right.
I used to play it with my friends. Definitely a team-based game. You need a five-man squad
Yeah.
because especially if you want to play ranked, solo queue, the hardest thing to do in any ranked team-based game anyway.
Hmm.
But Overwatch is, yeah, it's a hassle, man. It's
Yeah. I
really
mean, my
hard.
brother-in-law, you
And
hear him because he plays Overwatch incessantly, and just the amount of communication that you hear him going through on a regular
yep.
match with his friends, it's so fast paced. There's so much communication going on, but it's not just about the communication. It's purposeful. Like, there's
And it's team comp too. Team comp is a big thing in Overwatch. They
yeah,
used to run a thing called goats, and basically it was a team comp where the characters they chose were like three. It was three support characters, and I believe like three tanks or two tanks and one like assault.
yeah.
But now the thing that
People
worries
take
me
it
for
serious.
Overwatch, yeah, the thing that worries me for about Overwatch 2 is there's certain characters that they're reworking.
Yes.
and their abilities are like broken, bro. I feel like it's too powerful on some
Yeah.
characters.
They
Like
also changing
Sombra is
it.
one
I
of them.
believe it's gonna be 5-on-5 now. Yeah, they're changing the amount of players in a match, and it's supposed to give them more space. So I think they brought it down to 5v5. It used to be 6v6. Now it's gonna be 5v5, which will give more space for movement, more breathability, and you can
Hmm.
sort of strategize in a better way. So that's gonna be interesting. So again, there's a lot of reasons for me to want to jump into Overwatch 2. So
Yeah, it's a
gotta
great
put that at
game.
number 9.
It's good. They're
Mhm.
great with the fluidity and the way things move, and
Yeah.
the gunplay is good.
Yep.
Abilities are straight. But
Yep.
yeah, very team focused.
So speaking of fluidity and I guess movement, Assassin's Creed is going to be number 8 on the list.
Yep.
Assassin's Creed Infinity, obviously details were announced not too long ago. Actually, I believe it was the day before today. I believe it's the 19th.
Hmm.
Basically, I'm announcing that the next Assassin's Creed is going to be Assassin's Creed Infinity, and they gave out some details of how it's going to be, sort of a service in a way, and they will also have a smaller standalone uh, narrative based game that they will be making on the side. So, multi-project. I believe all we have right now is a picture of 4 people, kind of just like parkouring, like, through an area. And that's pretty much all we have to work with. But in terms of what they're saying they're doing, it's gonna be another formula change up in a way. If you guys remember from the old Assassin's Creeds, the Ezio Chronicles,
Yep.
Yeah.
as I say, those were completely different from Origins forward, right? Origins forward changed up the formula, made it RPG, a lot of couple of Souls elements in terms of the dodging and timing of things,
Yeah.
and the RPG with all the skills, just endless amounts of skills. I never got all the skills in any of those games.
Yeah. It's too much.
This is supposed to be another formula change up. So with knowing that and only that, are you guys excited for the future Assassin's Creed? You think it could do something special here,
Uh,
or is it you're still like hesitant about
I
everything?
have to see more to be honest to really form an
Hmm.
opinion. I feel like, I mean, from what it sounds like it could be cool, but it also sounds like it could just be kind of meh.
Hmm.
Kind of like whatever. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
really gotta see more to be honest. But I mean, I thing is like I'm really nostalgic for Assassin's Creed. Like I've played it since the first one. Like I love the
Right.
series. I mean the later games. I mean I've played the later games. I've played a lot, but I haven't beaten them. Like one of the newer
Not even
ones,
close
and
for
like you
me.
know what I mean.
Not, I
But
haven't even come close.
I've put like like 40 hours into them at least, and like still I've gone like nowhere close to like beating them. You know what I mean? So like because there's just so much shit.
There are people who have hundreds of hours in
Yeah.
Odyssey and they have not beaten the game. Having an arrow that shoots like 112,000 damage and it takes down a life like a quarter of the way. Like when they get to the end,
Jeez. Yep.
you see those videos on YouTube. They're like, yo, bro, like,
Like how?
damn, like how? How many hours did you put into this game? So with this formula, it's like the maps have been so huge. Origins with Egypt, obviously Odyssey with Greece, and then Valhalla with where was that? Ireland and England?
Well, I think it's some of Northern Ireland and one of the expansions. They go to Northern Ireland.
Yeah, there's an
But
expansion for Ireland, right?
yeah, but yeah, it's in like Scotland and England
And England. So yeah, it's they've had these huge playgrounds to play with.
and Norway actually too. I forgot there
And
is.
Norway, I believe that's the beginning where you're in
Yeah,
the snow area.
yeah.
Um, they've obviously they got the creativity thing. We just need the gameplay to be a little bit more tight. So yeah, we got to see more. But
Hmm.
that's for Assassin's Creed, and I'm excited for that. But next we got one that we all like their previous entry, and the fact that they announced it was pretty dope, and that's Modern Warfare 2.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Yep.
I'm very much
there's a
looking
lot
forward
of
to this.
listen. I get it. A lot of people are out there. It's the same thing, yo. Like they didn't change anything. Like I get it, but let's all be real. The campaign of Modern Warfare 1 was one of the best campaigns
In a
of
long
any
time.
Modern Warfare game.
Yep.
In a
You're talking
long
about the
fucking
reboot,
time.
right? To be
Yeah,
The
yeah,
reboot,
2019.
Modern
yeah,
Yeah.
Warfare, yeah,
2019,
the
yeah.
Yep.
reboot.
And their multiplayer was really good. Like honestly, like
Yes.
I played like when what is it? What was the one after that? Cold War when that came out.
Yes.
Black Ops
Mhm.
Cold War. I only played that for Nuketown. That was the only thing I played that for, and then I still would play Modern Warfare forever. I barely played
Right.
Warzone. I much prefer playing Modern Warfare multiplayer, like
Right.
hardcore.
Mhm.
Search and destroy was always my go-to, or shipment 24/7 shipment, and with my automatic shotgun, that was like my go-to.
Oh man, you were one of those on shipment.
Oh my god, yeah, I loved it. I get the dragon breath on my pump on the
Mhm.
pump action and just go around and
Oh
just fuck
Well,
everyone up.
man.
So much fun.
one of the real things about the multiplayer to Modern Warfare that people loved was the realism of it. It
Yeah,
felt a lot closer and grounded in reality than what we've gotten in the past. And I believe the last time we got something that was maybe similar was the original Modern Warfare.
And weirdly, I would say that Modern Warfare 2019 looked a lot better than the Black Ops Cold War that came out the next year after
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Like,
Yes,
Most
you know
it
what I
was a
mean? Like,
definitely.
completely different
Mhm.
aesthetic. It was
yeah,
more arcadey with Cold War,
Yep.
yeah,
more of a fast-paced action. But everyone remembers the apartment mission when you're in Modern Warfare in the reboot,
that
where
was
you're
so
going through
good.
this
Oh,
apartment
yeah.
and you're literally doing a tactic of a run through an apartment that's just very, very similar to what they do in real life in terms
It
of
was
how
like Going Dark,
how
right?
yeah,
Mhm.
going dark, how they clear a house, right? And obviously it's kind of callback, I guess, to the operation that took out, Osama bin Laden in a way, in
Yeah,
terms of that Zero Dark 30 movie as well. They definitely had inspiration from those events and the scenes in that movie.
but made it their own.
It was
Yep.
just, oh my god, man.
Very good.
The game was very good. The campaign was very satisfying, and they're gonna
And
continue it,
gorgeous. It looks
fellas.
so good. The cutscenes were gorgeous.
Now I get it. There is a lot of you don't do anything. You kind of just walk through the area. It's very sculpted and
Yeah,
linear, but I
but
don't
it's
mind that. I
cinematic. Yeah,
like those. I
Mhm.
like
it's
those
just cool. Yeah,
experiences. It's like I'm watching a movie, and I get it. I'll play the game because they're very effective at it, and it is a consensus that the campaign was very well done, and everyone loved the grittiness of the multiplayer and
Yep.
the
The
quick time to
gunplay.
kill.
Mhm.
There was you got shot, and another shot later, you're done, right?
Yep.
It's gonna be nice to get back to that,
And
and it's also gonna be nice to see what new technologies
uh,
out there with
and
warfare.
I hope they keep the features too, like the tactical sprint, the mounting on the walls. You
Yes,
know,
yeah,
that I love though. That core aspect
hmm
was what made it better for me because, like, wow, like let's say you have an AK and you got to shoot somebody from like way down across the map. You're not gonna hit those with an AK, bro, unless you have like great recoil control. But go ahead, mount up.
exactly,
Straight.
exactly.
And the realism mode was crazy too.
That
Do
was
you,
that. See,
Mhm.
that's how it differentiated
Yeah, they
itself from
took
what
out
they
the
did with
HUD.
Cold War.
Yep, took out the HUD, and then the night. I remember they had multiplayer maps that you could play at night with the night vision on, and all you see is like the red, like your laser sight, and that was
hmm
your reticle.
and that was I
So
remember
good.
that was in the caves
Mhm.
too, right? It was
Yep.
in the caves map, and it was just
Mhm.
pitch black, and
Yep. Yo,
you could run
I
around in the
loved
dark
it.
and not see anything. But
Loved
then
it.
you put on those
Mhm.
goggles and it's really cool. They're gonna bring that back, obviously. So,
Mhm.
really looking forward to Modern Warfare 2, and looking forward to more
yeah. And
gameplay. Maybe
I really hope they do kind of some of what they did with the first game, where they do like a somewhat similar story to the very original Modern Warfare 2, but kind of like
Mhm.
they maybe like adapt some of
little
those like really
changes here and there,
yeah, they maybe
right?
they do some of those epic sequences a bit differently, or
Yep.
like
No
they
Russian.
yeah.
Remember, no
Oh my
Russian.
god.
Yeah, or
I
like
don't. They
or
wouldn't
that scene
dare.
that's or
They
the
wouldn't dare do that
no, they
scene.
wouldn't do that. No, but
Mm-mm.
the mission where you're with Ghost, and you get betrayed and Ghost gets shot and you guys get burned alive.
Yeah. Oh
That was such a sad,
man, you're
such
bringing
a
it back.
Mhm.
yeah. If they do something like that, even if you
Even if
know
it's
it's
in a
coming,
completely
like
different area, but same kind
yeah,
of events happen.
same
That'd
music,
be
because
cool.
Yep.
Remember
the
the
music was
favela
so killer.
chase?
Yeah,
When you're running through the favela and then the guy gets just tackled out the window on a car right in
Mhm.
front of you, just
shit
that
was
whole
epic,
mission, just legendary missions in that
epic.
game. It's gonna be nice to see them put a new spin on it, and or maybe just do something completely different. I mean, I'm okay with that. I trust them fully with what they did in the first Modern Warfare. So, with that, we move on, fellas. We move on, and the next one on the list is one that it's gonna be a big one. I call it the Godfather Company. That's Take Two Interactive.
Oh yes,
Um, as you guys know, or maybe not, they recently announced that they're gonna release 69 plus games between now and 2025,
That's a
that's
lot.
and
insane.
that is just unreal,
Yeah.
We're gonna
right?
be broke.
Now, what is it? Take Two has a ton of well-known subsidiaries like 2K,
They are the
Rockstar
Berkshire
Games.
Hathaway of gaming.
Yeah, they have Ghost Story Games, Social Point, Rockstar Games, Private Divisions, Zynga. So like just some of these series. Let me just list some of these series that are well known that they produce. So
This
that's
is
the
gonna blow
BioShock
people's
series, right?
minds.
Yeah, BioShock, Borderlands, Civilization, Grand Theft Auto, Mafia, Max Payne, NBA 2K, PGA Tour 2K, the Red Dead series, WWE 2K, XCOM, et cetera, et cetera. Just like so many fucking games. It's insane.
Yeah, just the 2K umbrella alone has tons and tons of games.
Hmm.
But then you look at Max Payne and you look at what the future for that man's eyes are on what they're gonna do going forward. So that's nothing. That's it. I think that's it. We can't really say much more. We don't want to waste any time and speculate.
I just want a remaster of the Warriors, please. Thanks.
69 games, man. It's got to be in there. All of our requests should be on your board. You
And
know,
I'm sure there will be a bunch of like new stuff too, but I'm sure there'll be some classic
there's
stuff.
a lot of
Hmm.
ports and remasters
Yeah.
apparently that they're working on as well. Which please, I don't care how ugly it looks, but if if GTA 5 can run on the Switch, that'd be much appreciated. I'd get it again. That'd be dope, man. I'm sure the graphics would be completely trash, but
Imagine that, yo.
we can
Like,
make it work, man. We can make it work.
Make it work.
So now with that, we move on to yet another bombshell reveal, which was Final Fantasy. And I think I speak for everyone when we say that Final Fantasy VII Remake was just one of those singular special experiences that you remember for the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you didn't finish it, I'm sure a lot of people played through the first 4 or 5 hours of that, 6 hours, and it just blows you away, right? It's such a beautiful game. No one knows how those graphics are even
A
possible.
great expansion of the original story also.
Exactly. They really changed up a little bit of the story to kind of modernize it in a way. But yeah, they announced the second part to the Final Fantasy 7 remake trilogy because it's
Rebirth.
they're showing it in 3 parts. And yeah, man, it's called Rebirth. What did you think about the Rebirth review?
I mean, I thought it looked good. I think it's interesting now that they're going to do it in 3 parts now instead of 2 also. I think it's going to be
Exactly. They did mention that was 2 before.
it's going to be a lot of time to flesh out the story. It's largely considered the greatest Final Fantasy game ever released. The original
Considered one of
anyway.
the best stories
Yeah,
ever told as well.
yeah, exactly. The original
Mhm.
Final Fantasy 7 is considered like the best in the series. So like if they if they can like really expand, and if they continue the way they did with the first entry, just expanding upon the story and just like building everything and fleshing so much more out, and just the insane new detail they can present with the graphics and the next gen capabilities is just insane. So I'm really hyped for it, and the Crisis Core announcement on top of that was just just
There we
gravy.
go. Dropping
Yeah.
the bombs,
Dropping
man.
the
Yet
bombs like
another
fun
one they
flex.
Yeah,
revealed.
and Crisis Core,
That was
is
just a muscle
yeah,
flex,
and
man. That was just out
for
of left field. What?
for the uninitiated, Crisis Core was a 2007 prequel released for the PSP. That was basically a prequel to the Final Fantasy VII story, and it follows different characters, Act Flare,
And
and
very sadly was locked to the PSP platform.
yeah, exactly.
So
But
not experienced by many.
it's basically how Cloud gets his giant fucking sword in a way, in a roundabout way, if you want to really simplify the story.
Yes.
But still, it's a great game in and of itself, and
Buster
the way,
Sword, man.
yeah, exactly. So now that they're
It was received very well from what I see.
yeah, no, it was
Obviously a lot of people there have been a lot of people out there in the corners, saying, I would love to see a Crisis Core remake, right? I would love to see them bring it, maybe just port it to a new console right now, with better graphics, but just make it accessible again, right? And they're giving it the full remake treatment. They're giving it the Final Fantasy VII remake treatment, and that's dope. You can't ask for more
Mhm.
because they got all of this, man. And let's not forget, Final Fantasy 16 is sitting there just waiting to come out. And I'm very excited for what that game is. The story looks amazing, and the combat is gonna push this to something else. So all of that is in Final Fantasy 16, but they're giving us Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. They announced the trilogy. They got a Crisis Core remake. So in terms of Final Fantasy, I think we're all hands full, and they're all hands on deck, and they're giving us as much content
Yeah,
as
they're
they
working
can.
hard over there.
yeah.
And it's just the execution of, like, the games come out and they're not these messes. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's astonishing that a company can, even though it's the way it's supposed to happen. It's sad we feel like
Yeah,
that, but
yeah,
Right,
exactly.
like they're actually
I just caught
polished.
myself. I was like, wow, this is where we are in today's society.
Yeah, dude.
We just
And
are
that's
so used to just crap games getting
yeah, it's
released,
just
but
Yeah,
we're the
because these
victims of
money-hungry companies, bro, they're ruining
Mhm.
they're ruining it. The market's crashing because of them.
we're the victims of an abusive gaming industry. That's what it
There
is.
we
No,
go.
literally, we are.
Yeah, this is an abusive relationship for sure.
Seriously.
EA was very abusive, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, they got me started.
Yeah. But very excited for that and what they got coming, for Final Fantasy. Um the graphics, oh man, those sword fights. I can't wait. So we're
Oh,
gonna
it's
move
beautiful.
on
Oh.
and we're gonna move on to another game that I call No Man's Sky with Fallout. Honestly, it's Fallout in space, and it was revealed the much anticipated Starfield from Bethesda.
Yeah.
Todd Howard's brainchild, apparently. He's been working on this game for
Yeah.
over a decade, I believe.
Yeah. A long time.
And he's just been really just focused apparently lately. It's been one of the reasons why a lot of the other games maybe weren't so successful. He was so
Yeah,
engrossed
well,
and
the thing is,
focused.
he's like, all the games that have been released lately from Bethesda that have really shat the bed have not been. He has not been like the game producer or
Exactly.
the game director for them. He was game
Hmm.
producer for Skyrim, Oblivion, Fallout 3, Fallout 4. Fallout 4 obviously was the weakest of all of those, but still wasn't like bad compared to like Fallout 76 with like was
Yeah, there's a
absolute
lot of
crap.
Fallout
Right.
4 fans out
You
there.
know, yeah. So, he typically knows what he's doing. And like, yes, some people gave, Starfield shit for looking a little bit too much like No Man's Sky, which is,
Yeah.
definitely
Listen, the
comparable from the
mineral
footage they
mining
showed.
section was clearly just wow. Wait, oh, I
No,
thought I was
clearly.
playing No Man's Sky for a second.
No, clearly. But they're probably just like
Um,
flexing, like, look, we did it much better or
yeah, but
something.
you
Was
know
it
what?
true?
Let's
Because it
let's
looked
try to
clunky.
clunky is an understatement in certain
Yeah.
sections, but let's just go from the beginning. Let's give it a serious run through, right? The gameplay reveal. So in the beginning, obviously they have the run through of the customization system in
Hmm.
terms of your character and the classes and different I guess races that you can get and put onto your character. They obviously seems like they give you different abilities, right? There's an insane depth here to the customization. That's for sure. That's one thing that everyone can take away. Whether or not that impacts the world that the way that we want it to is yet to be seen. The gameplay itself after that we got, which is a run through that which was a run through of kind of what it would look like, I guess, in a regular mission that you're going through. Destiny vibes all the way, honestly. I see a kind of repetitive nature in it, especially at the end when he's talking about the scope of everything. But
Yeah.
the gameplay is very unimpressive at first, right? You're kind
Yeah. I
of
mean, the
kind of going through the
environment
motions.
the environment looked fairly the environment looked fairly a bit bland, I guess, a bit like boring maybe, but maybe it was just the planet they chose. I mean, I think, from what they described as the scope of everything with like the 1,000 planets and all that stuff, like I feel like there has to be like, and they said some of them are in the Goldilocks zone. Some of them are obviously like mining planets. So maybe the planet we just were at in that demo was not one of the, planets super flush with, civilizations and life and stuff.
Mhm.
I just obviously where No Man's Sky is right now is very impressive, right?
Right.
It's the best comeback story in gaming history, right? Um, in terms of what their ambition can be, like if they can release a game that's what No Man's Sky is like right now, if that's what they release, to us, not 3 years from now after all these patches that is going to get there, if they can release something like what No Man's Sky is right now to us under this Starfield umbrella and the story and everything, it could be very successful, right? It can be one of the best games that Bethesda's ever released, and then it could go up there with Skyrim, right?
Yeah, let's
um
hope.
that's what we would hope, but let's be real here. If what he's claiming is true, that there are over 1,000 planets to
Yeah,
explore,
they gotta
right?
deliver.
Hundreds of stars and systems, um, and that you can land on every point on the planet, just like No Man's Sky, there's almost an impossibility that there's depth to everything to the extent that it's worth playing, right?
Yeah.
How long is the story? If it's super short and you can finish it in whatever amount of time, and then the end game is just barren and you're just stuck mining minerals to get upgrades to do things, because that's what No Man's Sky kind of suffers from. Mining minerals is not fun, but
Yeah.
it's the
Mhm.
main point of the game. um the game just looks so damn awesome and so many people play it, but there are a lot of people that are turned off by the repetitive process of getting your materials, because it's a survival type of resource gathering game. That's really what it looks like at its core.
Right. I think that's going to be his biggest problem too. When you run into these certain situations throughout the game, it's going to get
Yeah,
repetitive. Even with
like
combat too, it just might be like that, you know? How many
I mean,
times can you loot this spacecraft that looked exactly like another spacecraft from a different planet, you know?
gather 1,000 units of copper, like, and now you got to go around your planet, and you realize your planet. I remember in No Man's Sky there would be situations where you'd be on a planet, you'd need a mineral, you need something, but the planet wouldn't have it because the planet was actually like a planet that just was specific for one mineral. So you could go around searching, but it'd take you forever to
Hmm.
find that mineral on that planet. So what you'd have to do is you'd have to fly off your planet, which was super cool, right? I love flying into space in that game. It's one
Yeah.
of the greatest experiences that was
Well,
created
you
in
you
terms
you
of.
can fly seamlessly into space, right, in that
Yeah,
game?
you can
Well,
you can
because
literally you go from planet to space, and
yeah, well,
I'll put gameplay of it in the background, but the transition is
I bring
amazing.
I bring that up because they said that in Starfield you can't do that. They said,
Oh
That's
man.
interesting.
yeah,
That's interesting. If they can't have that be a seamless entrance and exit, that would be interesting if there was sort of a outer space area, and then every planet would be, a cinematic scene of you going into the planet, kind of like Ratchet and Clank in a way.
yeah, something like that.
You fly in, and then the world loads in, and when you fly out, it's a cinematic. That's very interesting. That could definitely add something to it that's a little negative, because if you're not going to give the experience that No Man's Sky is giving, and your story and your gunplay is bad and clunky and
Hmm.
stiff the way it looks, then what do you have to offer us, right? That's what we were thinking at the midpoint of the trailer. Then the second half of the trailer comes in, and I have to say, the second half, insanely impressive, right? They really went into the base building that you get, how you can customize your base. You can hire employees to do certain tasks throughout the base, right? Simple tasks, or be it upgrading them to do more complex research, maybe, and get you a faster engine for your ship. um they really showed that, and it looks very customizable. It looks really cool. It's got this you know old school, obviously retro space vibe to it, in terms of, like, looking at Apollo 13 and those movies like that. Like, it's a cool aesthetic they have to the base building. Then they showed your spaceships and how you can customize your spaceships. So what do you guys think about that second half, and being able to customize, like, things on that level?
I think that looked pretty cool. I mean, I think that's people love customization and personalization for things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But also some of it may just be like pointless over customization to some degree. I mean, no,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes, especially with modern character creators and character creation like systems, sometimes it can be a little much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the fallacy of choice. What they call it when there's too many options, it gets a bit overwhelming like that. I
Hmm.
don't even
Mm-hmm.
know what half the shit means sometimes. It's like, what's the
Mm-hmm.
fucking inverted axis of his chin or whatever? Like, I don't know, man. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I
And
guess for
the
the
that's a
average
number.
player, yeah.
Yeah.
and especially sucks when you're gonna just wear a helmet the whole time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's true. Well, you make your face if you don't have a helmet. But they're
Hmm.
probably indoor section. But then again, it's first person, so
You're not gonna see who you are,
yeah.
bro.
There are third person sections too. It's a third person game as well. You
Hmm.
can probably switch between the two, because there was a section in the trailer where
All
you're
right.
walking and it's in third person.
Hmm.
So we'll see how that plays out in
Give it
terms
that
of,
Elder Scrolls treatment.
yeah, customizing it. But once they showed the customization of the ship, I was like, okay, this could be pretty cool. Not for me, like Brendan said, as an average player, but for the internet, like things that
Yeah.
people can come up with, right? What they can create.
Right.
Like, maybe we get some inspiration from the community, right? It's gonna be a PC game, so there's gonna be mods. And Bethesda's notorious for being very friendly to the modding community,
Hmm.
like, I don't even know how many mods there are for Elder Scrolls Skyrim. So
Oh man, too
it's
many to
it's
count.
it's unlimited.
Hmm.
So hopefully they execute a good game that modders can get in there, and they don't focus on mods that make the game work. You
Right.
know, they focus on mods that make the game better and cool. So they went from that. That was really interesting. They really ramped it up in those little 3-4 minutes of the reveal, and then they showed dogfights in space, and
Yeah.
that's when I was like, okay, all right. If it's gonna have all of this stuff, then I'm kind of leaning towards a little bit of excitement for this title. It was very scripted in a way. It was a quick little snippet. They showed some quick dogfights.
Yeah.
The flying looked cool.
The
I believe there was a
hesitation.
section inside where when you turn the aircraft, you hear the metal kind of stretching and bending, and it makes that really heavy sound as you turn the ship, so sounding really realistic. And it seems like they're incorporating a lot of elements from space. Noise isn't what you think it is in space. Technically noise doesn't really exist, but there is vibrations and I guess explosions that you feel. So they really showed that when you were shooting the other ships, the explosions are very cool and sounded like they were actually in space.
Right.
So if they can incorporate all of that, and then you can customize your ship, and you can create maybe like a crazy ass X-wing or something like that,
Make Han Solo, bro, because the classes were
yeah, like
interesting too.
they could do like a Star Wars crossover at some point. Maybe they could do all types of crossovers. A
Wait,
Star
no, time
Trek.
out. Leave Star Wars out of this. Leave it alone.
I'm just saying, like for the ship, like imagine like an X-wing or like all those like ships from the Star Wars universe as like a DLC pack or something like that. Like there's a lot they could do. You just hope they don't abuse
Now that you mention that,
microtransactions.
that would be like a cool little Easter egg. Like they just have like the Empire emblem on a building or
Somewhere
something. You
like
know
on
what I
a
mean?
random
Yeah.
planet.
Or like you find like a lightsaber from like a Jedi,
Mhm.
just like he passed away and like his
Yeah,
lightsaber's just chilling.
like I just feel like Brendan. You tell me what you think about this. What would you have thought if Starfield was revealed and it had 50 planets to visit?
Yeah, I mean I mean that still would seem like a good amount to me. Obviously, it's not as mind-boggling as 1,000, but 50 is still like, oh, that's pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
because even then,
Mhm.
like, how many are you really gonna see realistically? Like,
Exactly.
50 may even be like more than enough for like most
Yeah,
people to like go if
What
you can fully
about what
explore a
about
planet. Like,
25 fully realized planets as they're saying, right? Because again, the reason why I'm saying this is because everyone is under the impression that yeah, it's 1,000 games, but that scope is too much. 1,000 worlds, but that
Mm.
yeah,
scope is too much. There's no way. A lot of them are going to be empty, barren, nothing to do,
yeah,
just voids of gameplay that you go in there and you do nothing. So with 25 planets, if they had taken the time to say, hey, look, we have this maybe a binary star system with 2 stars maybe, and it's got 25 planets and moons orbiting it. You can guys have fun, explore it, fly through space, fly to each one, mine, create, do all that. Would you believe that more to be a complete game as opposed to this 1,000
Yes.
planet formula that you have right
yeah. I
now?
mean, yeah, because
Yes.
I think if imagine if they put the man time or like the manpower into that many that much less amount of planets versus like the 1,000 planets they're putting that much manpower into, like how much more polished those planets would be, and
Mm-hmm.
like fully fleshed out would be insane probably. So I mean, it definitely could be a much more fully realized game. I really hope they're not going for the scope just for the sake of like selling dollars, and it's going to be one of those things where once everyone gets it, it's going to be like, oh wait, this isn't exactly what you promised. One of those
Mm-hmm.
types of things. 'Cause that definitely definitely seems like there's potential for that. But if they pull it off, like hopefully we'll all be eating our words. But
Right.
There's
who's
a
to say?
healthy dose of
Yeah, no, but it's
skepticism
it's
out
completely
there.
warranted skepticism because like 1,000 fully realized planets. It's a
That's a
pretty
lot.
outrageous claim.
Hmm.
Yeah. I
That's cocky.
mean,
At least with
that's
20.
just No Man's Sky, you know?
Right. And at least with
Yeah,
25, you can have like a whole fleshed out planet with different types of life in them, you know?
yeah.
As opposed to like
Right.
1,000. You mean to tell me you're going to come up with 1,000 different creatures?
Now, the one thing that I will say, let's say if there's a process, it's procedurally generated in a way, but not really because there's a cap. So let's just say, they have all these different kinds of elements, kinds of, you know, animal life, kinds of plants, right? But they just shuffle them in a way, and every planet is kind of like the same thing, but they shuffle the elements and plants and stuff. But you can tell that they're, kind of similar. That would really suck. But then again, it's not No Man's Sky, which is like an unlimited universe of planets and a mismatch of just randomness on every planet, right?
Right.
There's a cap at 1,000. So if they've really been working, think of how big the team is. Let's say you have a really big team, right? Yeah, 1,000's a lot. It's actually insane, but maybe it is doable. Maybe they, were able to put cities and make stories for these cities on not all of the planets, but many of them. And maybe there's like a capital planet for each system, right? Where like that's where everything really happens, and the other planets will have like smaller cities and things like that. Um, I just can't buy the fact that everywhere on these planets, like they say, is accessible and is worth visiting,
Yeah.
which is where I see the problem.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's definitely potential for a problem there, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see ultimately because
Mhm,
they really, again, that could be where that's going to be like one of the make or break, areas of the game. I feel like to be if they really lived up to the hype or not.
mhm. So definitely an interesting reveal, I have to say. I mean, I give Bethesda props. They revealed something that was interesting.
Yeah. Although they did delay the game again.
Yes, they did, which is already a red sign, a red flag of
Yeah.
God, man. Like, why are you delaying it?
Yeah. The last thing we want is like a cyberpunk
Are
thing
you?
Oh
Can
happening.
you guys
yeah,
just tell
no.
us the truth? Are you 600 worlds in and you haven't done 400 yet? Is that what's gonna happen? Like, are you that far behind and you're just not telling us? And is there's a healthy dose of skepticism, like Brendan said, is warranted.
It's like,
But we're
dude,
just
it,
go ahead.
it's okay. We don't need 1,000 planets, bro. It's okay,
I'm not
you know.
flying to 1,000 planets.
Yeah, I'm not doing it,
I
bro. I
don't care
don't
what you
care.
say.
Hmm.
Someone out there will. Someone out there with 2 million subscribers or some shit. They're gonna take their time. They're gonna go visit all 1,000, and it's probably gonna be a complete waste of time. But that's just preference. If they execute, who knows? Maybe we'll be playing this shit in 10 years and it'll just be, evolving over time. But I doubt it. So we're just gonna leave it at that. Skeptical, but we want to see more.
But optimistic too.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes. Skeptical optimism.
There you go.
There we go. So now we're gonna go forward. We're gonna go to Resident Evil.
Oh
This
yes.
was a huge reveal. It was a lot of
I'm
news, so
so
much,
excited for this. I'm
but
a huge fan of the Resident Evil series.
and they're not playing, man.
I
They're
know
not
so
playing.
much news, a lot of news, multiple games talked about with this series, which is exciting.
Yeah, these
So
remakes
we're
look
gonna start off
great.
with the small stuff. Obviously, probably the one thing that went over a lot of heads because they announced it more towards the beginning was that they upgraded Resident Evil 2 remake, 3 remake, Resident Evil 7, which was I still haven't finished that game in VR.
Oh, I love that game.
Yeah, it's just horrifying. So they remastered them in a way. They gave them the proper upgrade to PS5,
Yep.
which gives them ray tracing, which is that really detailed lighting system. And it brings 4K graphics finally to Resident Evil 7 because if people remember when it was ported to I guess PS4, PS5, it was upgraded to 4K for PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. It was just stretched out. It wasn't actually 4K. It was just the same 1080p image just stretched out into 4K. So it made the scene blurry in a lot of places. So now it's getting that full 4K treatment with ray tracing, all of that. So
Nice.
if you guys want to go experience that again, it's pretty much a brand new game. I would recommend it. And then they had also, like I said, Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake getting that ray tracing added, which I didn't know it didn't have ray tracing. Those games look so damn good.
Yeah,
I
they
didn't
do.
even know they needed that upgrade, but they got them. And obviously, the talk of the town is Resident Evil Village. That's 8, and
Yep.
they finally announced the DLC for that, which is going to be, I
Yeah.
think it's called Shadows of Rose,
Yeah, playing as Ethan's daughter.
Yep.
as Ethan's daughter,
And the
and
third
she's
person mode.
Yep.
yes, the third person mode was probably the most hype part about it because
I'm
they
very excited
showed
for
what
that.
it looked like, and if that's the gameplay, god damn, that's it's
Yeah.
like Uncharted with zombies
It
at
gives
that
me a
point.
reason to replay Village, which I thought about doing recently anyway, so this is perfect.
I would say it gives the people a reason to jump into each one of these in anticipation for that DLC. And I hope they come out with another one, but from what everything's showing so far, they're focused on RE-verse, that multiplayer that came out. They're giving that a few updates
Hmm.
and just this DLC. But playing as Ethan's daughter, apparently you're trying to find out how to cope with your powers, which is sounds damn interesting. So we'll see what they do there.
Yeah.
But you give trust to Capcom in terms of
Oh
what they've
yeah.
been able to do with it.
I'm glad that they're giving Resident Evil the love that it needed and
And
deserved.
deserves, yeah.
Yeah, especially after what,
True.
6?
Yeah,
I
6 was
mean,
shot the bed
Yeah.
hard.
how
That game
about
was
how about
Mhm.
those movies, guys?
Oh,
Yo,
don't no
those
stop.
movies weren't even connected. Those were made by
Oh,
there's a whole history to those things I won't even get into. Those
Oh,
movies are all shit.
I have a
oh yeah,
big
they're all
gripe
shit.
with those movies,
Whoa.
bro.
Listen,
Like, how
I
hard
watched
is it
through all of
to?
those a pandemic though. I'm not gonna
Oh
lie. I
my
watched through all of
god.
them,
Like, how hard is
and
it to follow source material?
they
Yeah,
tried. They did their
yeah,
own thing, man. They
yeah,
did their own thing.
yeah,
I
Jeez.
like the
best you can
underworld
call it.
better, anyways. But
Yeah.
definitely it's cool to see that they're giving all these remake treatments to the Resident Evil games, and then let's go ahead and talk about the one remake that everyone's looking forward to. That's Resident Evil 4. They
Yes.
announced the remake to that.
It's getting the
What
same
do you think
treatment.
about that opening scene, Brendan?
Oh, it was beautiful. I mean, I was already so hyped for this because I mean, I playing the Resident Evil 2 remake. I mean, that game blew me away. I love that game. I mean, granted, the Resident Evil 3 remake wasn't as good as Resident Evil 2. It was still good though. I still liked it, but the Resident Evil 2 one in particular was amazing. Like
Mhm.
I loved that game so much. So now that
I
they're
mean,
doing
you were
4 was
shooting
already
zombies, and they weren't. It wasn't like a game, you know. They really just they created a lot of movements from the ground up with motion capture for the zombie
yeah.
system. So it was the most realistic rendition that you could get.
And
And
4
obviously with seven and what it did, because I think seven was before the two remake, right?
yeah, it was.
And what they did with that game in terms of the motion capture for the acting performances of all your enemies are all zombies or monsters. They obviously took it to another level. So yeah, you're right. Like seeing two get that level of love, it was a brand new experience, and damn, it was effective. It worked really
Oh
well.
yeah,
So
exactly. So that on top of like, Resident Evil 4 are already being, universally considered, one of the best entries in the franchise, getting the
mhm,
same treatment, I think it's just like a recipe for success in my opinion,
mhm.
and especially the fact they didn't rush it like they did the Resident Evil 3 remake. They rushed that and got that
Yeah,
out really quickly, and it was a
Mhm.
really short game. Kind of felt like it could have used another year of development.
yeah.
But this one they've been letting it, brew and really putting it together for a couple years. So
Mhm.
I think there's a
I
high
think
chance.
that giving it this level of polishing, because if you look at that one of the opening scenes that they revealed from the Resident Evil 4 remake, it's that part where you're just getting into the village, you're walking up to the cabin. It's the very beginning of the game. It looks exactly like the original game. So that scene right there lets you know that they're not really messing with the map a lot. They're not messing with a lot of the core mechanics that made the game good. They're just gonna tweak the things that made the game a little bit, hard to get through, which was the clunky camera. Obviously, staying in place was awesome. I don't think they're gonna keep that system. Standing in place when you have to shoot, they're probably gonna just adopt what they've gone through already with Resident Evil Village, a free flow movement, but
Mhm.
it's gonna be even more action based than it was. So
Yeah.
that just lets you know, like, damn, this is gonna be another brand new experience. It's not like playing the same game all over again.
Yeah, they turned up for Resident Evil. I'm proud of
Capcom is
them.
not holding any punches, man.
Mhm.
Even though we didn't get any Pragmata, disappointed about that, but um, we'll get that in the future. Maybe they just didn't want to steal Starfield's vigor,
You know,
because I'm
Cap.
Yeah.
pretty sure it's going to
Uh,
be a better space game.
yeah,
So
Capcom had a bounce back, man. Especially after all the backlash they're getting for Street Fighter and all that.
Oh, that's
Yep.
another one. I mean, just a quick honorable mention. Now that we're on Capcom, real quick, just Street Fighter 6. They revealed some more gameplay not too long ago, and the Guile drop.
Yo, Garo looks
Better
so
and better every
tough.
time. Yeah, it looks
Oh
better and better every
man.
time I see it. So
Mhm.
shout out to Capcom. They're doing something special over there. But speaking of the remake treatment, we're gonna go ahead and talk about one of my personal favorites, and I'm more excited than other people about the remake it's getting. But that's gonna be The Last of Us Part One. They finally announced that baby is gonna get remade.
Yeah.
Obviously everyone's upset because there's like, oh, yo, you remastered it for PS4. Now you're just gonna remaster it and release it for $70 on PS5. What are you doing? We're here to tell you guys, we're here to explain to you that's not the case, guys.
It looks
There's
great.
so much more going into this remake. They just haven't revealed it yet, but they have given us hints and they have said a couple things. So we're gonna run through that. What are the first impressions of that little reveal trailer they gave out for The Last of Us Part One?
It's
We start with someone.
it's just
Don't all go
beautiful,
at
bro.
once.
Like 4K.
Oh man, just
Like
the
just looking
assets
at
from
the
Part
the
Two.
like just looking at the thumbnail of Joel's face is like, wow.
Yeah.
Like you see his
You get to
age,
play with
bro.
Joel, baby. You
They
get to
they
play
sh-
with Joel.
they
That's
showed what is it, the redesigned character for like Tess, I think, and one of the other characters I forget, and like it just look they look like so much like, nothing, they didn't look bad before, but it just looks like
Mhm.
insanely like more realistic. Just the animate everything. It looks like a ground up remake, but it's like almost not, but it is. You know what I mean? It's almost like
Yeah, from what they're saying, it's a ground up remake. They while they use the same acting performances, they've redone everything from the ground up.
okay, that makes
They
sense.
yeah, so that makes it pretty cool. But the main thing that a lot of people, it might have passed over a few heads, but it's, you see the trailer and you're like, okay, it's a very concise trailer. It's story oriented. It shows cutscenes. Cool. But what they didn't tell you in that is that they didn't just remake the visuals. That combat system from The Last of Us Part 2 is going to be upgraded even further, hashed out, more detailed, and it's going to be in this remake. So we're talking about what everyone wanted from the beginning. We all wanted The Last of Us 2's gameplay, but we wanted to play with Joel, and we didn't even get a second to play with Joel, right? So that's where the fire was for everybody in terms of the hatred that they had for that game. I didn't have any hatred, but
Yeah,
there are people out there who did, and it's warranted. I guess I can understand their point. We get what we want. Now we get Joel, pretty much the main player in this game, plus young Ellie. That's gonna be fun. But man, can they make his combat better? And if they can, how visceral are we getting here? Because this man is ruthless.
I mean, part two was brutal in his own right. So, oh
You're telling
man,
me it's like telling Joe, hey Joe, you go back in time, I'll give you better abilities though, and I'll help you fuck up people more. And you can just go through everything all over again. Joel's doing it a million times. He's going back and he's like, all right, let's run it back.
let's run this fade one more time.
That's basically what it is. Let's run it back with everyone and all the zombies and all that.
A sidebar that we're talking about Last of Us, the HBO series, they dropped a
yeah.
teaser too.
Apparently they
Yes.
wrapped filming. I think they wrapped filming like
Mhm.
last week or something on the series. So hopefully we should be seeing a teaser or a little trailer or something in the next few months.
Oh, they have one actually. You can look it up on YouTube.
Well,
It came out.
no, but
Oh,
I
you
mean
mean
that's
like a
like,
legit? Okay,
I
okay,
mean
I
like a
get what you mean.
legit,
Yeah,
like, yeah, I mean
Mhm.
like yeah,
like a
not
fleshed
like,
out, like yeah.
yeah, not like a little like two. They haven't. The only promotion they've shown officially with like their faces has been like images. There's been no actual like footage of them, in character put to screen yet. Besides those still images that have been released, everything else is just a fan edit. So if you've seen anything else, it's fake. Trust me.
But it's just gonna be nice to get a real rendition of it. And from everything we hear, it's gonna come out great. They're really getting as best as they can into the performances they need to do, and we'll see how they execute those scenes that everyone's looking forward to. The Sarah scene, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Later on in the game, the ending, right? That ending bombshell
Oh
where
yeah.
the ultimatum for Joel. So we'll see what they do. That's also kind of going into this remake that they're doing for the game, because that was one of the things they mentioned, is that they were able to go back and redo all the models to capture their performance as close as possible, much closer than the original release.
Exactly.
Which that brings me to my mind, that just brings me the Sarah scene. And if you're telling me that you can bring out the emotion in Joel's face more
And that
than
scene
what
already
you did,
hurts so much.
like
Hmm.
that's one of the most pain. Every time I could play
Yeah.
that game every single time, and it always hits the same.
Just the wince in her voice is always gets me.
I don't want to see Sarah's face more realistic than what
I
it
know.
was, but that's what it's gonna be, and it's gonna be visceral and brutal. So definitely excited. There's definitely reason for people to be excited. Yeah, $70 is too much. I agree, but
Yeah, I
listen,
don't think they'll charge 70 for that. I feel like they
no,
shouldn't.
it's already priced, man.
Oh
It's already
shit, is
priced.
it?
It's $70 and it's $80 for the digital
Oh
deluxe
my god,
edition
Jesus
on
Damn.
Christ.
PS5. And $100 for the collector's edition, which I think is going to be I think it's the Firefly edition. It's called. Um, Depending on what's included in that, though, there's people still going to buy it
Yeah, I'm
like
sure.
hotcakes. Every single fan. There may be a few that are at the top of the comments like, "Oh, this is just a cash grab." Trust me,
Still gonna buy it
They're-
though.
Yeah, you're
everyone's
gonna,
gonna
yeah,
still
yeah,
buy it.
exactly.
Yeah,
So what if
everyone's
it
gonna
is? You're
still
still
buy
gonna
it.
buy it,
So don't buy
motherfucker.
the negativity. There is hype for this remake. This is gonna be a brand new experience. We're all gonna get to experience The Last of Us Part One, for the first time again. So definitely looking forward to that. Thank you, Naughty Dog. And just an honorable mention I wanted to put in there for Naughty Dog. They also announced that Jack and Daxter is being ported to PC, and apparently the graphics are really good.
Yes.
It's so nice to see that game in like 4K, 60, 120 frames per second. We'll see what happens with that. We'll get more information as the weeks come on. And then obviously they announced the Last of Us multiplayer game. They actually said it, like, Neil Druckmann finally came out and gave us I believe it was a concept art picture of what one of the maps looked like, and it was really interesting. And we have to see with that. It's a fully fledged AAA game. It's a
Yeah.
full game they're making. Um, I've always thought that that's what Last of Us should have been in the first place too. The story was awesome, but Factions was even more beloved in a way than the campaign. So for them to bring that back, but to really make it like maybe some sort of narrative experience within that too, that's gonna be crazy. So we'll let them work on it, and we'll get back to them in a few months. But
Yeah, hope for the best.
so last on the list, and definitely not least,
I'm the most excited.
um,
Yep.
this is consensus pick for number one on this list, and it's without argument, and that's the Callisto Protocol.
Yes.
This game looks so fucking good.
I want to do a
It's-
fucking
Cannot wait.
drum roll. I want to do a
It's-
drum roll right now.
Yeah, that's it right there.
so
That's
good.
all we need
It
to
looks
hear.
it looks so good. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it's coming out this year too. Like, I can't wait for December.
December
when it comes
2nd,
out.
2022,
Yeah.
and 2 months before is the Last of Us 2 remake,
Yeah.
part one.
For those who don't know, this game is like a spiritual successor to Dead Space, which is already one of my favorite, video game series of all time.
Yep.
But Glenn Schofield created Striking Distance Studios, which is the company that is developing this game, and he's the game director and wrote this game and everything. And he did the same thing with the Dead Space series. At least the first two, I believe. I don't know if he did the third one as much actually, when it got more action oriented. But still, so it looks insane. The gameplay looks insane. Apparently, they were heavily inspired by God of War PS4, like the new God of War, in terms of like the no cuts and like the cinematic.
Hey, that
nature.
over the shoulder camera angle, just
Yeah.
slightly back enough.
Exactly.
But it's still very, very original to Dead Space as well. But it's a little bit closer, I feel like. And man,
Yeah.
those effects, walking through that ship, the fog falling off of everything, the red
Yeah.
light shining through the fog,
And the gore and dismemberment.
Oh, the
my
gore. We're on the
God,
same
dude.
page, man.
Yeah,
Just-
dude. Yeah, exactly.
It's
The gore,
so
dude.
well done. Now there have been other games that you want to mention, like Scorn is one that's been
Yeah,
very
that looks
very
wild.
interesting
It's an
game.
It's
What a
H.R.
game
weird.
that-
Geiger.
Mhm.
It's an
It's
H.R.
just-
Geiger wet dream. It's literally inspired by H.R. Geiger.
Exactly,
Who's-
just
who, if you don't-
body
H-
gore,
H.R. Geiger is a famous artist who did a lot of works that imagine like humanoid mechanic like beings like being morphed together, and like the movie Alien, like the design of the aliens in the Alien
Yeah.
movie is heavily like H.R. Geiger I think designed the aliens, or were heavily inspired by him. I forget exactly what it was, but if that's the sort of aesthetic they're going for, and it's blatantly
This game is gonna terrify a lot of people, but it's gonna be so refreshing because
yeah.
the lead up to this release is got me literally feeling with the exact vibe of Dead Space 2 when it came out, because
Mhm.
it doesn't have at least to me, it doesn't seem like it has the hardcore survival aspect of the first Dead Space. I feel like it's gonna be a mix, just like Dead Space 2, that perfect mix of
Yeah.
action
Good
and
balance.
survival
Mhm.
horror.
And the
Just
weight of the weaponry.
oh man, just like I don't even know. He's walking around like with a sword or something. It's
Yeah.
just so cool, man. And then they revealed what the replacement, I guess, for the necromorphs are, and they just look grotesque and so just their movement is gonna be just as crazy as a necromorphs, but just tweaked a little bit. And apparently, like you said, Brendan, they're very heavily inspired. They watched a lot of body gore. Apparently, the developers, to be part of their inspiration for how they
Yeah.
design the
To
enemies.
get the dismemberment perfect. They're all about,
Mhm.
I mean, they really like got it like down to like medically super accurate.
Or even when
Yeah.
you die yourself, when he got sucked into the vent, you see his
Oh, yeah.
facial
Oh,
reactions.
yeah, and even the part where it bites the head and everything. That's very
Mhm.
reminiscent of what the necromorphs would do too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Just very detailed now.
Like you could
And-
see the emotion when he gets sucked in the initial time. He grunts with the pain, and then you see his eyes get wide.
Ground
He's like,
up,
"Yeah,
yeah.
I'm fucked."
Yeah, they probably looked up some crazy live leaks videos of accidents in real life,
Oh
and
man, I
they
hope
saw how the
not.
body reacted to certain stressful
Yeah, they had to, or they
situations.
just asked doctors. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
So
maybe they asked some trauma doctors, or maybe even some medical physicians in the army.
yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
operated on mutilated bodies and things like that. But
They took a
just the
note from Mortal Kombat.
yeah, man, there's a level of detail that they took with this, and just coming from Glenn Schofield, there's gonna be a lot of love. If you guys haven't already, there's an amazing interview about the making of Dead Space One, and Glenn Schofield is the person being interviewed, and it's one of the best listens that you'll ever have. It's a great interview with great gameplay in the background to explain everything. So catch that if you can to get ready for Callisto Protocol, because that's gonna change a lot. I hope that they continue it, and it's not just this isn't the only one. It looks like I'm really vibing with the protagonist. I like that they're showing his face already, and that his voice, it seems like his voice acting is very genuine and good, so far. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm so excited for Callisto. Not
Hell
only
yeah.
because that, but hey, man, Dead Space remake. We're getting spoiled. We're getting
Yeah, I
spoiled with
know.
Dead
We
Space,
really,
man.
we really are.
I'm so happy, bro, that Dead
It's
Space is
just so
back.
good. It's so good. It's been a long time
I'm
coming.
about to
So
re-download them and play them all like again. They were on the Game Pass, dude. All three
yeah,
of them.
I actually just downloaded not too long ago 1 through 3 on PC, and I can't wait to experience the one. I 1 and 2 is gonna be cool, but I would love to see what 3 would be like. That action with the high frame rate, and then obviously what they tried to do there. I'm looking forward to experiencing 3 again, but damn, Callisto Protocol and the Dead Space remake. There's a lot to look forward to, fellas.
Hmm.
Yeah, a ton.
Other than that, I think that's it. I think that rounds out our list and gives you guys pretty much all the news you need going forward for 2022 and 2023 and maybe beyond in terms of some other games you mentioned. But it's definitely a great time to be a gamer. It's definitely a great time to be
Yeah,
into narratives and
Yep.
all that, and that's
so
what we
much to look
love.
forward to.
What a time to be
Hell yeah,
alive.
man. That's what we love here at Filmic. At Filmic, we're all about the narrative. We're all about the actual gameplay and
Exactly.
the experience of it. So definitely some great experiences coming up. This has been Filmic Gaming, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, if you guys think we missed anything, just put it down in the comments. Let us know. Don't be shy. Be mean. Let Brendan know he was wrong about everything. It's okay. Um,
Yeah, bring it on.
yeah, bring it on. I'm sure he can take it. Other than that, it's been great having you guys. It's been great being back. What a great time to come back. We talked about everything that we needed to, and
Yep.
I think we had a great comeback episode. So as we get back into full gear here into our weekly mode, but yeah, we're back. Thank you, show. Thanks,
Yep,
Brendan,
no problem.
and we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.